June 24th, 2023.
Coming to understand of myself.
If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I am your host, Downtown Donnie Browne, coming to you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Browne, also known as the Walk Radio Studios here in the old NAMI building on 217 Wisconsin Avenue, right around the corner from Theodore Yelman's Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And living that suffragette heritage are two very good friends of mine. We're pleased to have back, I call myself Downtown Donnie Browne, but this is Downtown Alicia Halvensleben, the Right Honorable gentle lady and alder of the 11th District. So just like Hunger Games, right? You do the sign.
I can do the sign.
That's right. Yes. So, and also, we're also joined by a very dear friend of many years. Our sons used to play baseball together. And unfortunately, she's here for less pleasant business. But this is local accounting, finance professional, and just all-around great neighbor, Wendy Althen. Hello, Wendy. How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
Terrific. Well, I'm really glad you reached out to me on LinkedIn. I'm a big promoter of LinkedIn. About an issue she had. So Wendy lives, without giving addresses or names away, she lives on the border of our beloved city of Waukesha and the breakaway republic of the Village of Waukesha. And, talk about some issues we have with your neighbor here.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood
been
impacted.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work full-time, and my job has been work from home since COVID. And I spend a lot of time outside with my family and my dogs, and as do a lot of my neighbors. And the Village of Waukesha has outdoor fire ordinance that is different from ours in the city of Waukesha. And when the burning is happening, whether it's leaves or tree brush, it creates a lot of noxious odor and smoke, and it can settle in the neighborhood for sometimes days at a time. Mm-hmm. And it just makes it very difficult to be outside at all.
Sure. And I can sympathize because we lived in Brookfield for a couple years. And Brookfield does not do leaf pickup. So how do neighbors dispose of their leaves throughout that city? Right. They burn them. And those were the devices we were left to. And you could just smell the toxins. Yeah, it was just, and that's why I believe it's banned in the city of Waukesha. Is that getting?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but so you reached out to me because at the time it didn't seem like you had much recourse.
Correct.
And you did. You are in District 7, which is you reached out to Alderman Daniel Mannion, my former colleague and good friend, and what's been the response so far? What's been the updates since we first communicated?
Well, I have personally asked people to stop burning, which of course they're not doing. So of course that's why I turned to Daniel, my alderman, and he sent me from the village website the outdoor fire ordinance, which includes things like the fire must be attended at all times. It's only allowed during daylight hours, and that it must be a safe distance from property line and structures, which also I don't know if this is being followed. I don't know if there has been a permit issued. I don't know if these are really safe conditions. You know, it's been very dry lately, and I don't know if dry conditions are a factor there.
And it sounds as if it's still not speaking to maybe the bigger issue is the nuisance and the potential toxins in the air that impact your side of the border.
Right, and even in the regulations here, number 9 says to be considerate of your neighbors when burning so as not to create a public nuisance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have some recourse there. The next step is because my fear is if you reach out to the Village of Waukesha, they say, well, you don't live here, so I'm not going to help you talk to your alderman.
Correct.
And so Alicia, Alder Halvensleben, what recourse does she have from this point on, or what's the strategy here?
So, unfortunately, I don't think there is a great course of action. I hate to say that to you, but even just looking at this ordinance, it's written in a way that's pretty vague, right? Mm-hmm. So it says, be aware of weather conditions. What weather conditions? And in what weather conditions can you not burn, right? I would think that air quality, for instance, we have some of the worst air quality currently in the state of Wisconsin right now because of the wildfires in Canada. So adding to that is terrible. I would think that's relevant, but it doesn't say that here. This isn't written in a way that points to this is okay and this is not. And so anybody could easily say, well, it rained last week, or it's going to rain later this week, so it's probably fine. There isn't anything specific enough to say you definitely can or you definitely can't.
Sure.
So the easy interpretation for your nearby neighbor is to say, it seems fine to me, and that's it. And so you could call the village. They might send somebody. They might not.
Okay.
We don't really have a whole lot of control there, unfortunately.
And this is, and that's why I wanted to have Wendy on the show and talk, because this is just one of a myriad of issues now that we have the formation of the breakaway republic of the Village of Waukesha. And but before we continue the dialogue, we do have a caller from the farmers market, our good friend, and thanks Anastasia, our faithful engineer. How could I forget to introduce her? I missed you last week, although Calvin did a great job stepping in. But I hope it was worth it, you missing work. But no, I'm just kidding.
You know, I will say it was. I attended my first ever Lord of the Rings themed wedding.
I think I heard about that.
So I think it was worth it. But with that, I'll give you your good friend Johnny.
All right, but
Watermelon.
we might have you on the show another day to talk about that. So, hey, Johnny, how are things at the farmers market?
They are beautiful, Don. I'll tell you what a great sunny day. I'm telling you, dude, the strawberries are in. They're all over the place. There's several vendors that just got rows and rows of strawberries. The line at the mushroom thing is down a little bit, so you still might have some.
I might have to get over
there later on today.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, we got really lucky with the strawberries. I mean, they're all over the place. So if you're in the mood for strawberries, please come on down and get some. And Don, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Sam, from Buzzy Bees Honey. He does a great job with honey. He's got a variety of different things. Say hello to Sam for me.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing today, Don?
I'm great. So you're the honey guy there at the farmers market.
Yes, I am the honey guy here at the farmers market.
I love it. Hey, Sam, I have to ask, have you ever made mead, or have you ever sold honey to a winemaker that makes mead? And for those of you,
so I have not done the.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I haven't done the mead myself, but to a lot of people that like to venture off into making the mead.
Nice, because I want to make some. My father-in-law is a winemaker in his own, and he's done some great things. I'm trying to get him on mead, so we may have to have a conversation, Sam, real soon on that. So mead was a traditional. It was a drink of the High Kings of Ireland, and it was drunk. Traditionally, you drank it on your wedding night, hence the term honeymoon. So there's more to the story, but decorum may prohibit. But anyway, Sam, I really appreciate you sharing and another great offering there at our wonderful farmers market. If you could put Johnny back on, and I look forward to meeting you very soon, Sam. I'll try to make it over there today if the baseball schedule allows.
Thank you there, Don, and try to enjoy the rest of your happy Saturday.
You too. What a beautiful day. Johnny, on the spot.
Don, you there?
I am there. So, hey, make sure when we talk again that you get Adria Kusnerova on from Alaska Fresh, because she's got a story to tell, and so many great stories and some wonderful product.
I'll walk over there and get her on at 8:35. I will, okay?
I really appreciate it. Johnny, thanks for all you do, and looking forward to catching up with you later on in the show. Johnny Watermelon, folks.
Okay,
see ya!
Sounds great.
See ya! All right, Johnny Watermelon. So now back again to this less pleasant issue of foreign relations, as we now call them, with the Village of Waukesha. And, the bigger issue was not long ago, it was once called the town of Waukesha, which I remember from my time in the council, existed really in the form, and really around the state, towns exist for bigger bodies like cities to annex them as needed, or as and someone owning property in a town had that flexibility, had that benefit of selling their property to a city if they could, especially in bad market conditions. That was a real benefit. Unfortunately, the town wanted to become a village based on what is now a expired statute, but they got it in on time, state law that pertained to a small town in Dane County. And when they framed this, they thought that it was just going to be unique to this county and be a one-off. But unfortunately, it had precedent throughout the state. And again, I was on the council, and I in closed session had approved the city moving forward to fight this, because we're a landlocked city, and our only potential for growth was through that land in the town. Unfortunately, that's no longer a possibility. I know, is there continuing litigation from the city on that to fight the town status, to your knowledge, Alicia?
Not to my knowledge,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't come back up again.
Sure.
It has obviously caused, the landlock issue is a huge problem, right? So from an expansion perspective, if we want to continue to provide the same resources to everyone throughout the city,
Sure.
the only way we can increase the tax base now is to build up rather than out.
Yes.
And so when people are asking, why are there so many apartment buildings? Why are we building such tall buildings? Well, it's because we can't build out anymore, and that's because of the Village of Waukesha.
Yes. And so, and again, I'm exercising bias here, and I was on the council at the time, but there was a certain amount of criteria they had to satisfy, and we thought it was an impossibility that they weren't able to get all 3 to 5, whatever they were. One of them was they had to have an established sanitation district, which they had a water main break a few years ago, and the city of Waukesha, being good neighbors, decided to send our people in there and save the day and fix it. Now that's what they're calling their sanitation district.
Right.
Another thing was that there needed to be county approval, and county usually doesn't step in on that. But because, and again, I was on the council, we had voted to reserve our right to historic status in preserving the Moore Downs property. The county felt it was in their best interest to retaliate. In fact, when they finally did get that lifted, that was a statement someone had the gall to say, was that, well, one of the reasons you lost, to the village is because you didn't go alongside with us on so just bad politics, and I have no problems saying that. So in the minute we have left before the first break, let's say, because you came in after the fact, but what are your feelings now, or what's?
I mean, I would say that, sort of the briefing that I got about a year ago is that it has caused nothing but headaches, right? Because we have to think about ways in which we can increase the tax base, like I was saying. And so we have to get creative, and we have to think about, renovating properties. And what that means, too, is when we're redeveloping, we have to provide maybe some incentives for businesses to come in. So
there we go.
That gets
let's put
difficult.
a pin in that. When we come back from the break, more with Alder Alicia Halvensleben and Wendy Althen on neighbor relations with the village. This Week in Waukesha continues. We're taking your calls, 844-967-2789. Don't go away.
Talk about it.
Hey, we're back in This Week in Waukesha, and that is Espresso Love, the first song on what is arguably one of the greatest albums of all time, Dire Straits Making Movies from 1980. If Pat Kreitlow from Up North News was listening, he'd be very proud. His show always has a This Day in History segment. Includes great pop music, trivia or findings. And so if you're listening, Pat, that one's for you. But the reason I played that song is there's another iconic song on that album, probably the most popular song from that album, called Skate Away, or as most people know as Roller Girl. And so the reason I've played that, and a big shout out to Brenda Schaefer, longtime Waukesha native, for pointing this to my attention, is Skateland here in Waukesha is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And on July 15th, they're going to have a big celebration for that. And it's going to include from 12:30 to 3 kids and families, a teen party from 6:30 to 9:30, and get this, a summer jam shuffle skate for the big kids from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So congratulations to Steve Laufer, a second-generation skate theme experience owner. His parents had one in West Bend, and they wanted to expand. In 1973, we have this beloved Waukesha treasure. So congrats to them. And they're talking about, I was reading the article, I think it was in the Freeman or GM today, and they'd mentioned that they had, in the disco boom, it was big, and then skate rinks had kind of gone downhill, and then the rollerblade trend brought it back up again, and it continues to have a great following, and so that's neat. But just for the record, I was a disco king in my town, man. I used to clear the floor, believe it or not, downtown Donnie Browne, and I had the long collars and anyway, showing my age here. So, but anyway, we want to get back right away because I think we're expecting. Oh, he's already here. We're going to cut away real quick on the neighbor relations issue. Bo, are you on the phone?
Hey, Don, how you doing?
Hey, great. This is Bo Blask, the new owner of Mia's, doing some great things there. Maybe one of the youngest business owners in downtown Waukesha. And I appreciate you calling in. We've had a lot of construction in downtown. Oh, sure. We've had a lot of construction in downtown Waukesha. And I just want to get a brief, feel. How has this impacted your business, if at all?
Oh, certainly. I mean, construction is kind of the bane of everybody's existence. It's both, necessary and a challenge for everybody. I came into Mia's with the anticipation that construction was already being done. So that was already a challenge right off the bat that we had to kind of tackle because it was being blocked off on, from what I remember, was a little bit of St. Paul all the way to there was some Main Street blockage, and then again on even all the way to Clinton, if I remember correctly. And while that didn't necessarily affect our egress or a way for customers to get to our door, it does make a challenge for patrons to just come into Waukesha, which makes it a really big deal because if people can't come into Waukesha, you lose out on that foot traffic.
People's perceptions are those realities. So yeah, even though it doesn't come down your street, they see that, and that can be a deterrent. But it is nice. Friday Night Live, though, is kind of like a nice panacea for that because you get a lot of that pedestrian traffic that's got to help.
Yeah, I seem to have dodged a bullet this time for at least construction on Friday Night Live. So in that regards, it's helped me, but it's really about staying informed with your city and knowing when those closures are happening, and then kind of having a plan in place on what to do when that happens, because inevitably it will happen. Okay.
So, and Bo, I have Alder Alicia Halvensleben here. Alicia, is that in your district?
Yes.
It is. So you guys should definitely connect, or if you are having any issues. And then also, is there any projections? Because I know I've lived this. Construction schedules are very hard to stick by. And but is there any projections from the city in terms of when that is supposed to be completed?
Yeah. So the anticipation is that we'll be done, for the most part, at least, by the end of this month. So less than a week away, which is good news. One of the things that we also were able to do with the Broadway construction that you've seen at the, sort of through the spring and early summer here, is lay some of the foundational aspects of the memorial that's going to be going at the 5 Points for the parade memorial.
Nice.
Which you can still donate to. We're still raising money for that and
Thanks
for the larger
raising
memorial.
The attention to that. So that's really neat.
So that will be done, and that is actually the last phase of this downtown construction that we've been dealing with.
Sounds great.
That's a nice
Sounds
aspect.
great. Cool. Hey, Bo, thanks for calling. My other guest here is Wendy Althen, a good friend I haven't seen in a long time, and so Melissa and I are gonna have to get Wendy and Justin. We'll have to head out over to Mia's one of these days so we can reconnect. And I want to have you on the show sometime very soon. So thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch up soon.
So much,
okay.
Don, always.
All right, Bo. See you.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good one.
You too. So back to neighbor relations, and in the 2.5 minutes we have before the next break, I'd love for Wendy to take a lead on some of the homework she's done on the impacts. Go ahead, Wendy. You've really done a lot of great homework here.
Yeah. So I just thought that I would take a look at what research might be out there about wood burning, and it turns out there's quite a bit on the American Lung Association website about the emissions that are created. And the two most harmful are carbon monoxide, which we all know we have carbon monoxide testers in our homes now. So if it's increasing outdoors, it can also be increasing indoors. Wow. That can cause things like headaches, nausea, dizziness, things like that. And also nitrogen oxides are produced, which can cause harm indoors and outdoors as well.
Sure.
It creates particle pollution that can worsen coughing and wheezing. It can actually, there's a study that warns it can cause asthma in children.
Ugh.
And we have a park a block away where kids are always outside playing.
And that burning spreads
riding
that
bikes
far.
In our neighborhood. Yeah, it settles in the neighborhood for sometimes days at a time, when it's just difficult to be outside for any length of time and be out walking or riding bikes and playing. And it's really a health concern, I think.
Sure. So when we come back from the break, Wendy's going to continue talking about a conversation she had with the fire department, as well as some other important metrics that we should be paying attention to here especially those living in the borderland between City of Waukesha and the Village of Waukesha. So don't go away. This Week in Waukesha continues with Wendy Althen and Alder Alicia Halvensleben. Do not go away. So much to talk about. And rare for me, we're taking your calls, 847-967-2789, if you would like to speak to this issue or if you've been impacted by some of these neighbor relations with the breakaway republic of the Village of Waukesha. Do not go away.
Is this another one? Just like the other one. Go ahead, man.
Hey, we're back this week in Waukesha, and this is another classic song,
Have a dollar.
Mr. Wendell by Arrested Development. Great song about a homeless man. And I thought of it because this week I was in the news on a couple occasions, and thanks to Alicia Halvensleben in part, I was appointed on Tuesday night at the City Council meeting to the Cemeteries Commission, and so proud to be serving our city in some capacity again. And I know there's some other appointees that Alicia may mention later, but the other great news was I had the honor of being the master of ceremonies on Wednesday night at Tuscan Hall in a celebration of Karen Treadwell, who will be retiring from her post after 26 years of faithful service to the food pantry of Waukesha County. And big shout out to Amanda Medina Roddy and her catering team for, again, knocking your socks off service there.
Always great
for the
there.
event. Yes. And Amanda and her husband Eric also volunteer on Saturday mornings for the food pantry, delivering meals to homes. And so I mentioned Mr. Wendell is about a homeless man, but you don't have to be homeless to suffer from food insecurity issues. And from my experiences with the pantry, I've seen that firsthand. These are everyday people like us that, with the rising cost of everything and some of the other issues going on. And it's, I believe, as Dr. King said, that everyone has a right to 3 meals a day for their bodies, along with education and culture for their minds and freedom, dignity, and equality for their spirits. And nobody lived that mantra. Nobody has, in my experience, more so than Karen Treadwell. So so grateful for her service and so grateful to have been a part of that ceremony. She was also honored with proclamations from Waukesha County, with County Executive Paul Farrow was there, and from the City of Waukesha, Mayor Sean Wiley was there. So it was really neat. Other luminaries included Justice Ralph Ramirez also came to show his appreciation and support. And so it really was. And so many others. Former Alderman Steve Johnson was there as well. And so it was just neat to see so many great people honoring a real, you talk about servant leader, real champion for those in need, delivering thousands of meals, millions of pounds of food to those in need. And for even like celebrations like birthday parties and holidays, the food pantry's been there for so many families. And so it's really, that was really a great night. So anyway, we are back. And is Johnny on the line yet there, Anya? Okay, that's fine.
Not yet.
So we want to continue with Wendy, because you said you then had a conversation with the fire department for the village. And what did they say?
Right. So I walked in and I just asked to speak to the fire department and asked if they had any concerns about this burning that was going on, because it had been so dry. And as we know, that's how wildfires can start. If, a spark could go up into the trees, it could, start a fire that could spread throughout the neighborhood. So I was concerned for, damage to my property as well. And so the fire, I think the assistant fire chief was, or the deputy chief was called and said that there was no burn ban issued for that particular day. So that led me to believe that they do issue particular burn bans on, certain days where, like today, perhaps, where we've had several days of no rain. It's very dry. It could be windy. Those kind of conditions that would create a runaway wildfire situation. But how would anyone know that there was a burn ban issued? How was that communicated to anyone?
Right. Especially in the village and really throughout. I mean, I don't know if they have much on social media, or I didn't have much success.
I as far as I know, the village does not have nearly as robust of a social media presence as the city. When the city does issue burn bans, that is put out on social media. I do want to give a shout out to the social media team for the city on this one, by the way. They've done a really great job in helping to communicate a variety of things out to people. There are city newsletters, right? But we get a lot of mail. We get a lot of email. So that stuff is sometimes easily lost.
Yep.
So those social media posts are really helpful, but not all municipalities have them. And I don't think that the village does. But I could be wrong.
Yep. So I read the number off a little too fast as we were going to the break because there's some people want to call and I just got a text. It's 844-967-2789. Again, 844-967-2789. And speaking of callers, Johnny's back from the farmer's market with an update. Johnny, are you there?
I am, Don. Good morning. How are you?
We are fantastic since we last spoke 20, 30 minutes ago. But anyway, what's going on?
I just heard a little hot piece of news there, and maybe you could give me a little intel. I heard that there's something big going on in Russia this morning. There's like a little revolt going on with like the defense minister or something. You got any hot news on that, or are we still kind of gathering data on that?
Still gathering data, and as you know, I'm Waukesha focused, so this is the first time I'm hearing it. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I just heard that while I was walking over to our friends over at Alaska Fresh.
And they would know. Sure. Are they there? Do you have Adra with you?
I mean, it was just like, I'm standing right here with Adra. She wants to say hi to you.
Please.
And tell you a little bit about what they're all about. So here you go, Don. Say hi.
Sounds great. Hello, Adra. Great to see you again. Adra.
Hi, Don.
Hey, great to see you on Wednesday, and thanks again for inviting me. Adra and I both serve on the board of the Waukesha County Food Pantry. Or food pantry serving Waukesha County, and it really was a wonderful night. And thanks so much for all that you do in that capacity. But what's going on at Alaska Fresh there this morning?
It is a really exciting day here because we finally have our Copper River sockeye salmon, which is the filet mignon of all wild salmon in the wild Alaskan salmon world. And it was just flown in from Alaska on Tuesday. And so customers who pre-ordered are coming to pick up their pre-orders. And we also have individual fillets on sale. And it's redder than the fishermen have seen in a lot of years. It's just beautiful quality this year.
I love it. Thanks. Boy, if there's one reason to go to the farmer's market, yep. And Wendy's got Wendy Althen here has got a big smile on her face. So she may be heading over there soon after the show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We're ready for you, Wendy.
Sounds great. And what else is going on there that you can see? I know it's kind of a big question.
Across from us, we have Katrina Cafe. I've been wanting to try their coffee. There's a lot of produce this week. There's kale, radishes, strawberries. You don't have to go all the way to
I was looking for the kale. Now it's here.
Festival.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, kale. I see kohlrabi, rhubarb. There's beautiful flowers. You can get your knife sharpened.
Nice.
There's spring onions. And this is the first week of the market where all of the vendors are here now. So it's like the first full week of the market. And it's still nice and cool.
Oh, good. I love it.
And there's a nice breeze.
Sounds great. Well, terrific. Well, I appreciate you coming out because I know you have farmers markets in other cities, and I'm so glad that you're finally here in Waukesha. This is your first summer and that it's going well. And I hope I can get there in time.
We're so happy to be here.
Sounds great. Adra, thanks so much, and look forward to talking to you more about responsible seafood. We're both members of the Center for Responsible Seafood, and great solutions for a healthier planet with healthier people. So thanks again, and if you could put Johnny on, that'd be terrific.
Okay, thanks, Don. Have a great day.
Hey, you too. See you soon. Johnny.
Hey, brother.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of fish, we've got more fish to fry here back at the studio, but want to thank you for calling in and for the updates, and we'll be catching up with you very soon.
It is my pleasure, and thank you for your time. I tell you what, the best fish is right here. So
Sounds
come on
great.
down to the Waukesha
Alaska Fresh.
Market.
All right. Thanks again, Johnny. See ya.
Thanks, Anastasia. Okay,
right,
see ya.
So, as Adra said, if the sockeye salmon is the filet mignon of fish. James Santel just walked in as the filet mignon of lawyers, and morning cannolis is next. So really excited to have it. We've got a caller. I believe it's my good friend Vicky. Vicky, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, Vicky, thanks so much for calling in. What's on your mind?
Well, I think, as you know, I am now a resident of the village after spending 20 years in Alicia's district. And don't appreciate your comment about the breakaway village of Waukesha.
That's
I'm
me.
very
That's
happy
on me.
out here in the village.
I own that.
Watch it. No, I just want to comment. The lady that's got the problem with the smoke, I think Wendy.
Yep.
Certainly, it's something. I'm on one of the committees. I'm not speaking on behalf of the village. I'm not, authorized to do that. But as a resident, I have been very pleased with the response from the boards, the village boards, in this matter. And I think it's something that she should come, ahead of time, tell us that she's coming, and we'll make sure she can speak to the board and see if we can't help her with that.
Yeah.
We have changed ordinances recently.
Okay.
And this one might be helpful.
Vicki, before you go, can I ask just a quick question on that? Just because the rules must be different than possibly in the city of Waukesha. You do have to be a resident in the city of Waukesha to speak. So is that not? Is that not the case then?
That is the case, but if they're alerted ahead of time and ask permission from the board, we could make sure that happens.
Okay.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, I
Also,
appreciate
she
that.
could write a letter, and the letter could
Okay.
be read to everybody. I mean, it's certainly, I think the village is a very friendly place. I think the people on the boards
Good.
are honest people, and I think they do a good job. And Alicia, when you were talking about what happened with the village, I think instead of a briefing, it'd be helpful if you talked to somebody from the village or came out to one of the meetings. You'd see that they're very interested in working in conjunction with the city, but sometimes the bigger dog barks louder and kind of turns off everyone else. So in that regard, I just think it'd be helpful if you knew a little more about what's going on.
Vicki, I'm really glad you called because as long as I've known you, you're a person who gets things done. And so if it's okay, I'd love to be able to connect you with Vicki if that's okay, sharing details and all that. And I think another thing, I think you two would really hit it off as well.
Very good.
Sounds great. Vicki Hackers, thanks so much for the call, and looking forward to seeing you soon. And thanks for listening.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Bye-bye.
You bet. Cheers. So
yeah, I appreciate her mentioning that because the day that I walked into the fire department was the day of the board meeting. So I was standing in the lobby as all the board members were filing in, and I asked the police officer on duty, I said, what is going on? And he said, it's our board meeting. So good to know that that's an option. I would have loved to speak to them and let them know about this.
And in my experience as an alder, and Alicia can weigh in on this, is that, a lot of things happen off the scenes. I mean, I know we have these, they're really good rules about walking quorums that I think it's no more than 3 alders can meet without it being on an agenda and being considered a formal meeting. Right. But to sit down with an alder, to sit down with a mover and shaker like Vicki over a cup of coffee or breaking bread, that a lot of things can get done. And so I think while you're waiting to get that permission to appear before their board, it might be a great idea for you and Vicki to grab a cup of coffee sometime and have a chat and figure out best steps. Because like I said, it's during the break we were talking about, well, the neighborly thing would be for the 2 neighbors to talk and have a dialogue and have an agreement and have a solution. And that doesn't seem to be like the case. There's been a lot of non-responsiveness, right?
Correct. Okay.
So it would be nice. Yeah. So that I think I'm pleased to hear is a good path. And I was alluding earlier to the appointments to the committees, and that really is, I encourage everybody, including people like Wendy, to look at those opportunities. Talk to your alder, talk to Alicia, and see where there may be opportunities to serve, because a lot gets done in those committees, and it's great when we can attract talented professionals, well-educated people to make a difference. And so it's great to see that Vicki's doing that with the Village of Waukesha, and so yeah, terrific. So what's next? You had some other data that you'd compiled that you wanted to share.
Well, yeah, it's more just the health concerns. I think for me, being in a neighborhood where we have a lot of elderly out walking dogs, we have kids out playing. It can cause a lot of issues. I think just from the carbon monoxide and the nitrogen oxides that are released, and people with lung cancer face even greater risks. So I just think from a public health safety concern, it should be something that's considered and maybe reconstructed as a different ordinance, or done away with. The other solution might be to start providing services in the village like we have in the city of Waukesha.
Yeah.
I love the services that are provided in the city, where I can put my tree brush out on the curb and it's picked up annually, or I can take it to the dump and it's repurposed for things like wood chips or mulch.
So when we come back for the final segment, Wendy's going to talk. We're going to talk more about some solutions for improving neighbor relations and public health. This Week in Waukesha continues. Don't go away.
Mr. Window, yeah. Lord, Mr. Window.
We're back this week in Waukesha. In this lovely air is the Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini that was featured in an iconic scene in the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour, one of my father's favorite movies. And on previous shows this month, I've honored fallen heroes of mine who died in June. Robert Kennedy, Tim Russert. And today, I remember with love perhaps my number one hero, my father, Martin Joseph Browne Jr., who passed away 2 years ago last Thursday. The son of Irish immigrants, he worked 4 jobs to pay for his college, was the first in his family to graduate from college, served our nation proudly in the Korean War, married to the greatest gal in the world for 66 years until his death, and they are reunited in heaven this year and remembered fondly on this beautiful day. And, in reality, my father died on June 22nd, late at night, but because the coroner did not arrive until after midnight, he was officially declared deceased on June 23rd. So remember, you're not dead until the coroner says you're dead. But it actually works out in my hometown because on June 22nd, hockey legend René Robert of the fabled French Connection of the Buffalo Sabres, arguably the greatest front line of the 70s and perhaps of all hockey history. And Wendy, when you come home, ask Justin if he knows who René Robert was, and that'll be the litmus test if he's a true hockey fan, because I know he is. So, but anyway, returning to this issue of neighbor relations, I want to know too: is there a higher recourse? Is this something that you could go to the county Health and Human Services, which the county oversees? Have we looked at any recourse there, or has that been an option so far at this stage?
I have not gone that far, but that would be a great question for them if this poses enough of a health concern.
Sure.
To redact this.
Yeah, and see who your county legislator is. I don't know how the maps are drawn, but there may be your county legislator may also be covering the village, and so that could be an opportune moment to again appealing to a higher authority and maybe compel some things, but. I like the idea of connecting with Vicky, too, because, like I said, she's a mover and a shaker and a very, very active citizen. So,
it does sound like Vicky would be a great resource. That would be my next step for sure.
Yeah. So, and she also had some influence with my appointment to the council a few years ago. And so someone that, she's passionate about local government, and as an accomplished realtor professional, and successful in other areas of her career, that, again, I think that's a great resource that we have with the village there, and for yourself, Wendy. And again, I think you, too, would really, you get along like a house on fire, so it'd be a lot of fun. So no pun intended. Yes, thank you. I should have, wrong choice of words. So I need to consult with James Santel before I speak on these things. But in any event, so are there other neighbors that have also expressed frustration around you? Okay,
yes,
so
there's several properties along that line, so it's not just me. I know it's not just me, but
you're speaking for people in the neighborhood.
It's a complete neighborhood issue. It's not just the health and safety; it's also the effect to the environment.
Right?
How are we affecting the ozone and things like that? Releasing all these, harmful chemicals into the air.
When you made a reference to the wildfires in Canada and the way they've been impacting,
we've had air quality alerts for the last week and a half or so, off and on because of that, and this is just contributing to it.
Sure. absolutely. That's a great. And without prying too much into these neighbors, do they have young children, or are they empty nesters, or is it just one guy that lives alone?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, and that's got to be frustrating too. So, but terrific. And then with the city, like I said, you've reached out to Alderman Daniel Mannion, and now we're connecting you with Alicia. Are there other recourses with the city that can also be pursued in a positive way?
Unfortunately, probably not. I'm not necessarily a legal expert, but we can't, we don't have jurisdiction in the village. Our ordinances are not relevant to
Sure.
the citizens in the village of Waukesha. So we do have to kind of go by what their ordinances are. And, kind of one of the things that I was saying is this ordinance, it exists, but it isn't clear what is and is not allowed. When you're talking to the fire department, it sounds like they were, a little bit vague too with you about, what is and isn't allowed, when there's a burn ban, when there isn't a burn ban, those sorts of things. So, one of the things, next steps from my perspective for you, is to maybe connect with Vicki and see if we can get maybe a little bit more clarification on what is meant by this ordinance. Maybe see if we can get it cleaned up on the village side so that it can be a little more specific. Vicki did say they change ordinances all the time.
Right.
I would say that this needs to be clearer so that when you can call the fire department in the village and say, hey, they're clearly breaking this ordinance. Because right now, I wouldn't know if I could call or not.
And I apologize for my ignorance regarding if there is ongoing litigation, but could a potential blue ribbon panel involving city and village it could be a combination of elected officials and citizens about improving neighbor relations and border relations. Is that a possibility? I
mean, I think it would be hugely beneficial. I think that there are some tough feelings there on both sides. It was a fight, right? It was something where people had very strong opinions on both sides, and I think that some of those feelings are still there.
And I just had an idea. The office of former Alderman Don Paul Browne could be a resource here, so we could have some more people on the show. It'd be great to have Vicki on, and maybe some leadership from the village, and maybe some other leadership from the city, and see if that's a possibility. But continuing the dialogue's important.
Yeah, we're all neighbors, right? We all want to just have a really great southeastern Wisconsin, right?
We all inhabit the same earth.
Exactly.
We all cherish our children's future, and we all are mortal. Sorry.
Yes, we all want to live happily together. Ideally, I would hope that's what most people want, at least.
That's true.
So if we could all just be good neighbors, that would be ideal. And so working together, I think, is important.
Sure. Hey, before I forget, a couple news items too was that Rainbow Land teacher Melissa Temple has her hearing on July 12th, so keep posted on that. And then the trial for Kathleen Cummings that was supposed to begin last Monday was actually postponed. A new date has not been set, so we're keeping our eyes on that. But returning to our good friend Wendy Althen and Alicia Halvensleben about neighbor relations involving the village. How much time we have left, Anastasia?
Just 1 minute.
Just 1 minute. Hey, and I forgot to do my Carol Minute, but real quick, I had a great meeting with Athletic Director Mike Schulis, and really excited about moving forward on our broadcast of Carol football here on WAUK in the fall. So more on that in the coming weeks. But final comments, Wendy.
So just one other thought on a solution would be maybe for the village to offer the services that we do enjoy in the city of Waukesha is plant and tree brush removal and access to the recycling center where that wood chips can be made into mulch or wood chips for parks in our county parks. We all enjoy our parks.
Or maybe a shared cooperative that helps mitigate some of those costs for the village residents.
Right.
So, terrific. So, Wendy Althen, Alder Alicia Halvensleben, thanks so much for joining me today on This Week in Waukesha. Enjoy this beautiful day. I'll be heading to the Hepner Horn VFW to see our suffragettes of VSW do battle on the softball diamond. So enjoy this Saturday. Safety is everyone's responsibility. See ya!